Bacon Stadium for the 72nd Baseball Championship of the Missouri State High School Activities Association. Fans are reminded that the purpose of this contest is to promote sportsmanship and respect. The examples we set for the players today will help teach positive lessons for the future. Let's all do our part to help give respect throughout the game. And now let's meet the players and coaches for this afternoon's Class 6 third place ball game between Jackson High School and Nixa High School. First, for the Jackson Indians, who will be the visiting team on the scoreboard. The Indians are coached by Josh Roach, and come in today's game with a 33-7 record. And now for the starters. Leading off, the shortstop, number 12, Henley Parker. Batting second, the designated hitter, number 10, Cooper Rhodes. Batting third in right field, number 16, Caden Bugenpole. Batting fourth at third base, number 7, Quentin Borders. Batting fifth and catching, number 21, Baden Hackworth. Batting sixth in left field, number 22, Steven Schneider. Batting seventh at first base, number 1, Landon Watkins. Batting eighth, playing second base, number 6, Jackson Wyatt. Batting ninth, the center fielder, number 5, Grant Dotson. And pitching, number 20, John Paul Sauer V. And the rest of the Jackson Indians. And now for the Nixa Eagles, who will be the home team on the scoreboard. The Eagles are coached by Logan Hughes and come in today's game with a record of 32-7. And now for the starters. Leading off, the center fielder, number 7, Wyatt Vincent. Batting second, left fielder, number 2, Rylan Michelle. Batting third, the shortstop, number 3, Caden Cloud. Batting fourth and catching, number 17, Jackson Edwards. Batting fifth, the right fielder, number 14, Reese Dernberger. Batting sixth, first base, number 16, Tanner Grant. Batting seventh, the designated hitter, number 4, Mason Eagleberger. Batting eighth, the third baseman, number 12, Broden Mabe. Batting ninth at second base, number 5, Colin Ussery. And also starting the pitcher, number 6, Jack Gamble. And the rest of the Nixa Eagles. The umpires for today's game are Blake McFeeters behind the plate, Blaine Murphy at first base, and Bob Austin at third base. These umpires were selected to work this event based on their outstanding work during the regular season. But let's congratulate these hardworking officials who were selected to be a part of this year's championships. And now we ask that you all please rise, remove your caps, as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Hello everyone and welcome here to Sky Bacon Stadium here in Ozark, Missouri. It's the Nixa Eagles versus the Jackson Indians for third place here in Class 6. Both teams fell yesterday in their semifinal matchups. Jackson lost to Francis Howell in a 9-8 matchup where they were down 9-1. Ended up scoring 7, becoming 1 run short and losing 9-8. Eagles also lost by 1. They gave up 2 in the first inning, gave up none the rest of the game. They scored 1 in the 5th, but just could not rally enough to tie the game up. They lost 2-1 to Liberty North Eagles. They're defending state championships. They're going to play early on today, looking to go back-to-back. I'm Aiden Hopkins alongside my partner Eli Dean, putting on the headset for the last time this season. Hopefully we can get a win here. Ethan Taylor will be on the mound for the Nixa. Jackson Gamble will be on the mound. Ethan Taylor, we'll talk about him later, his excellent performance last night. Eli, I missed this game. These teams have played twice against each other this season. They played doubleheader. Nixa won both. What are we going to see out of both these teams in today's game?
Well, one of the big things that you can see early on is the difference between these two. You don't really see it when you really look at the box score between these two teams. Jackson comes in 33-7. Nixa comes in 32-7. Very similar records, but when 2 of those wins for Nixa were against Jackson during a doubleheader that was played in Nixa, that was a really interesting game. One of those games was kind of tight for a little bit. Nixa was able to pull out away, and then that second game ends it in 5 innings with a 13-3 win for the Eagles. So something to keep in mind here. One of the big things, though, is going to be Caden Bogenpole, who's their number 3 hitter for this team. He pitched last night, did all right for them, but he was the pitcher in their game against him. He's playing in right field today. He's going to be one of those people to watch out for the Jackson Indians.
Jackson Gamble looks into Henley Parker, eats in the right-handed batter's box for the first pitch of the game. To be a strike on the outside corner. It's to be an 0-1 count. Jackson Gamble, one of the sophomores in the starting lineup rotation for the Eagles. He has 2 more years. It's kind of scary to think about because he's already throwing mid-80s, and as he progresses, he could probably be 90s by the time he hits senior year, and it's going to be really, really good to see. And I think Logan Hughes is really looking forward to that on his starting lineup rotation. Second pitch from Gamble's going to be swung on down the third base line. Broden Mabe's going to ground it. It's called the foul ball.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think a lot of this community is kind of building up for is there's not a lot of seniors going away from this program. First time since 1974 they've been in a Final Four situation. For the Jackson Indians, this is their first time ever. So both of these teams haven't had a whole lot of experience at this stage, and they've done really, really well. Jackson coming in as the District 1 champion, the Eagles coming in with the District 6, but just kind of keeping everything in mind with everything with both of these teams. Getting third place is almost as good as getting second in some people's minds. So the Eagles are going to be hopefully.
That one swung on, lifted to center left field. Ronald Michelle and Wyatt Vincent chasing it down. They can't get it. Off the wall, rounding second base is Parker. He's heading for third. Here's a throw from Vincent Cloud trying to get it to third base. Not in time. That's a stand-up triple for Henley Parker.
Henley Parker leads off.
Parker put that ball about where Wyatt Vincent put the ball there yesterday. It's over by the Marucci Clubhouse sign over there in between Cox Health, but just kind of put it in that gap. And that's something that this field is kind of known for, is just the gap these outfielders are going to have to chase down these baseballs. Wyatt was able to ring out a triple, and Henley Parker as well right there.
So Indians looking to take an early lead here. Run 90 feet away at third. First pitch to Cooper Rhodes. Outside corner, strike 1.
Yeah, and that first pitch strike is something the Eagles were pretty good at yesterday with Ethan Taylor, but in terms of hitting, they would keep getting themselves in 0-2 holes, and that was something they just couldn't quite overcome from even without the rest of the game. And a lot of it was just missed opportunities for these Eagles. It seemed like yesterday they were able to build a lot of momentum during innings, but not necessarily being able to close it out. But Ethan Taylor, as that pitch gets a little bit away from him, but Jack Edwards is able to get in front of it.
Yeah, if you were to look at the 2 pitchers' stat lines yesterday without looking at the runs, you would think that Ethan Taylor won that game. You would think that the Eagles won that game. Ethan Taylor went 6 innings pitched. He only gave up 2 hits. He had 0 earned runs, as the 2 runs that were earned from the Indians were not from pitching. It was from 2 errors by the Nixa defense. A rarity in the Eagles defense, as we talked about how good their defense has been throughout the season. They just couldn't get it done when it mattered most here in the Class 6 semifinal. But now, looking to end the season on a good note for a win here, as it's a 2-2 count for Jackson Gamble. Cooper Rhodes at the plate. Here's the pitch. That one's low. Great block there by Jack Edwards. Makes it a full count.
And something the Eagles are hoping to prevent as well is in that second game against Jackson, in that doubleheader, they had 3 errors in that one, and those were some really costly ones. Caden Cloud at shortstop had 2 of those.
That one swung on, lifted past Tanner Grant. That's going to score a run, and that's going to be a single for Cooper Rhodes or an error. They mark it as a hit on the scoreboard as it took a nasty hop past Tanner Grant's glove. Kind of looks at it.
I think they're probably going to make that one an error. They're going to go back and at least look at it. Some of the stat keepers here for Misha a little bit more involved with that one, just getting past 2 or 3 different defenders there, and Jackson's able to take the early lead.
So now, Caden Bogenpole at the plate. Hard-hitting lefty. He sits in the plate with a runner on first base and 0 outs. 1-0's the count. That one swung on, lifted to right field. That's going to curve foul. A very long foul ball. 1-1 count.
Bogenpole, like I was mentioning, has that ability to really make it matter most. He almost, right off the bat, he almost seemed like he thought it was a home run, but the wind blowing a little bit towards our right kind of pulled that one just a little bit foul.
So Jackson Gamble gets set. It's a 1-1 count here with 0 outs. Runner on first base. 1-0's the score. Jackson leads. That pitch in there for strike number 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Gamble isn't going to give him anything similar to that pitch Bogenpole was able to get every little bit of. Just was a little bit early on it, considering how much the wind is going to play a factor here towards the right side, especially with him being a lefty.
Check back at first base, unsuccessful. Rhodes gets back safely. That pitch outside.
Doesn't really seem like Jackson Gamble has a lot of control on the mound right now. Having a lot of high pitch count innings, and Jackson's just had a good job of getting through quality at-bats and making sure they can get every little bit of what they're given to them.
So the Eagles last night, they lost to Liberty North Eagles, as we mentioned. That was their first loss in 9 games. So they went on a real big hot streak entering the hit district tournament. And then quarterfinals, they defeated Blue Springs. That was a great game. That one swung on for strike 3. Jackson Gamble gets his first strike out of the game, gets the first out of the game. Now brings to the 4-hole, Quentin Borders.
Number 7, third baseman, Quentin Borders.
If you want, and like I've mentioned before, Jackson Gamble runs on his confidence. And if he's confident, he's pitching really, really well. We saw in the Blue Springs game, he was confident that he gave up a couple runs, kind of lost that, kind of fell back into a deeper hole, then he gained it back. It just, baseball is baseball is the biggest mind game sport there is because it's so easy to get in your head, and that can fluctuate how you play a lot. And I don't think people realize how much it can affect a baseball player.
Yeah, and baseball is one of those sports where, I think it's the most superstitious sport of all the sports. So a lot of different people feel like just if you change your mindset or your tempo at all during a game, it's bound to change your mindset.
Goes, that swung out on the third base line. Broda May grounds it cleanly. Throws in time for out number 2, but that does its job, and it advances Cooper Rhodes to second base with 1 out.
Sometimes when you get those kind of hit and runs types of plays, obviously you're trying to get that ball in the outfield so that you can potentially score Cooper Rhodes all the way from first base. But in that instance, it avoids the double play that ends the inning, and that's something the Eagles kind of struggled with in a lot of different aspects of just getting the outs when they needed them to last night. Obviously, there's nothing much you can really do when the runner's already pretty much at second base by the time it gets into Broda May's glove at third.
So first pitch to Baden Hacksworth. It's outside corner, strike 1. And that's, from what I've seen so far, is that's where you're going to want to hog if you're a pitcher, is at the outside corner because the umpires love calling it. 0-1 pitch. Swung on, lifted to center field. Wyatt Vincent trying to get under it, and he does for out number 3. So the Indians score 1 here at the top of the first, heading to the home half of the first inning. 1-0 is the score. So back here for the home half of the first inning, Wyatt Vincent will lead it off for the Eagles. Not an unusual spot for him. He's played there every game of the season.
Nixa Eagles center fielder number 7, Wyatt Vincent.
John Paul on the mound here for the Indians. Eagles fans packed the house of U.S. Ballpark. Not as much as they did last night, but it's still a very good size for a 4 p.m. on a Saturday. First pitch to Wyatt Vincent, swung on, fouled, out of play down the first base line. 0-1 count.
Something we didn't see at all yesterday was Wyatt Vincent swinging at the first pitch. He decided to take it every single 3 pitch opportunities he got, including that last at-bat of the game. As the 0-1 is going to be called a strike, and something just to keep in mind as these hitters approach into a game like this, the longer you get into a season, baseball is meant to be played in June, but in high school, not a whole lot of teams get the chance to play in June. So for a high schooler, especially this longer season, probably the longest baseball season they've ever had, maybe fatigue gets set in or different things like that. And so for Wyatt, just the big thing is setting the tone early. You're already down by a run, so just trying to make it matter here.
He calls time to recuperate before he gets the pitch in the 1-2. Well, most of these players in the Nixa team do play in June, but just not for the Eagles. That went inside, almost hits them. 2-2 count. They usually have summer ball going on. Half the players they were in the batting cages looking at their summer ball team's score, trying to figure out if they're winning or not, because they're so used to playing right now. So multiple of them had to tell their coaches, sorry, I can't come this week. I'm playing in the Final Fours. That one swung on lifted to left field. It's going to be caught in left field. That's Steven Schneider for the catch for out number 1. But, yeah, they all have to tell their travel ball coaches, sorry, coach, I got to take care of this first and then I'll be there. But, like you said, they're definitely not used to playing in June in a Nixa Eagles uniform. So now we'll bring up Rylan Michelle with 1 out after that pop fly from Wyatt Vincent.
Yeah, and you're talking about Summer League and different players having to. As we were leaving Blue Springs last weekend, I had a conversation with Garrick Ofstad talking about how they would be up playing for their team, but they're having to move. They had to drive up to Blue Springs to watch them in the game, but just kind of different things like that. A lot of different players have different rhythms and different things they do during the summer to keep themselves warm, and more baseball is just as good as anything else they can do, probably.
So 1-1 count, 1 out here for Rylan Michelle. Rylan Michelle been a big piece of this Eagles offense throughout the season. So here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, strike 2, 1-2. Jackson Cantwell in the building for the game. State champion and shot put.
Set the state record a couple weeks ago.
He is a big phenom. Over 10 Power 5 offers in college football. So a big statement in all of this community. Everyone loves him. It's truly a blessing to have him in our Nixa athletics community. It's just a 2-2 count here for Rylan Michelle. John Paul gets set. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lifted to center field. That ball is going to go right into the glove of Grant Dotson, route number 2. So 2 batters, 2 flyouts. We're going to bring up Caden Cloud. Caden Cloud, another sophomore, Nixa Eagles team. And we've talked about this all season. 1 through 4 in this Nixa Eagles order is people that are coming back next year.
Yeah, Wyatt being a sophomore really helps with everything that Logan Hughes is trying to build with this program. And there's only 4 or 5 graduates this year, so just kind of talking about what the starting lineup is going to look like. Colin Ustry is a senior. Mason Eagleberger's a senior. And, this team doesn't have a whole lot of holes that they're going to have to fill next year. So the expectations, this year were always going to be a state championship. But to get here, which is something that not a whole lot of people really expected when you talk about the outside of Nixa area. And there's the baseball preview magazine, and Ed Reynolds was kind of just like, yeah, this team's going to be good, but don't expect much really in terms of district and state tournament play. And so for them to be able to do this, that only builds the expectations for next year and the group that's coming back, which is still a majority of the team for next year.
I saw a KY3 article. They talked to Tanner Grant. They said Nick's always been a respected ball club, and now they're turning into winning respected ball club because they haven't been in the championship in about 49 years.
And
One has
strikeout
actually been in the
recorded
semifinal in about
for
49
the
years.
Jackson pitcher.
And so this is a
In
really
the
big
bottom
deal
of
for the
first,
Eagles.
we played
As Caden
1-0,
Cladd strikes out,
1-0 Jackson.
and we're going to head to the top of the second, talk more about this season and what's come through it up next.
Number 22, Steven Schneider.
Steven Schneider, the left fielder, to the plate here. First pitch to him, outside corner, strike one. 1-0 is the score here as Jackson leads after they scored a run in the top of the first inning. And it's fouled back to make it an 0-2 count.
Something to keep in mind, even as we talk about what's going to happen next year. The Eagles, you know, a lot of it's been hyped up with 1974. They lost in that state championship in 1974 to Pembroke County Day. They didn't play a whole lot of games that year. They were 13-1, but Nixa fell 1-0 in that one in 1974. So the Eagles next year, it's just going to keep up. You know, there's always that next step you can take, and so in this case for this year, as he gets Schneider to swing and miss on a 1-2 to get that first out of the inning, and that's going to be really important the rest of the way, just getting that first batter out. But for the Eagles next year and even further on, it's, okay, now we made it to the semis. Let's get to the championship, or let's win the championship, and different things like that. Obviously, they're always going to have that expectation of winning the championship, but just kind of keeping the pillars of what this team has alive and trying to just resemble with, hey, we're taking bigger steps every single year.
Coach Logan, he was just talking to the team before the bus went off. He said, when I took this job 2 years ago, this is exactly the position I wanted to be in. He said, maybe we weren't thinking about being the third place game, but we were thinking about being in the Final Four. And he was talking about how much the community was so proud of the team and how they've done something that hasn't been done in 49 years, and that will always be a statement of history. That's the second punch out in a row in strikes for Jackson Gamble. And he said, the community is so proud of you. My phone was flooding with texts last night, even though we lost. And right when they said that, a car drove by and started honking when they saw the team. He said, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The community loves you guys. You guys are a statement in Nixa baseball history that no one else will ever be able to do. Because he said, I don't think it's ever going to take 49 years to do that ever again. So this team is a big part of history for the Nixa baseball program. Jackson Gamble throws in another strike there.
I tell you, if it takes another 49 years, we're still going to be seeing Logan Hughes coaching by then. I don't think he's going to let up until his team wins a state championship. And
he was off the ground, but he was off the ground, but he swung and hit his bat, and he said, does it count as a strike? Oh, I swear I said it hit bat. Oh. Anyways, 1-1 count, 2 outs. It's the pitch. Ball low, 2-1 count, 2 outs.
Gamble kind of warmed up after allowing the first 2 base runners to reach that inning. Got Bowen Cole to strike out, Quentin Borders to ground out, Hackworth to fly out, and here back-to-back strikeouts to start the inning.
That one swung on ground to Caden Cloud. Here's a throw in time for out number 3. So that's a quick 3 up, 3 down here for the Indians. Heading to the bottom half of the second. 1-0 is still the score. Jack Edwards will get his first plate appearance here in the third place game of Class 6. Looking to even the game up here or get on the base. First pitch to him is going to be a strike on the outside corner. I feel like I've said that about 30 times today.
Seems like a lot of high school pitchers like that outside corner. We saw that a lot from Tate McGuire last night.
That was swung on foul back, make it 0-2 count.
He was able to strike up 11 Ks in that one, got himself up to 101 on the season. And, you know, as much as you take the loss, what you do realize is he only gave up 3 runs all year. So if you're able to get a run off of him, that's about as good as what this offense, you know, could have done there. As the 0-2 swung on and missed, and Edwards strike out, and that's becoming a theme here for John Paul Sawyer. Already 2 Ks on the day, back-to-back here in this inning. And for Reese Dernberger, just something to keep in mind, you know. Dernberger was telling me a while back that he didn't think he'd even make the team this year. He really didn't have a great year last year. But then when Hughes kind of just showed that belief in his guys and kept the team unit, and he's done a really nice job all year. And even while the numbers don't show it, he did crank one deep against in a game that was ultimately rained out. And so, you know, he's got this ability in him, and he's got this fire that he can keep on fighting from pretty much anything as that one's fouled back. And Reese has done a great job this year so far.
He's batting .378 on the season. He has 37 hits on 98 at-bats. He's looking to go to flight school. That's his thing after high school. So here's the pitch to him. Swung on. Foul back. We'll do the 0-2 again.
And something Ryan Retone, when he was in the booth, was talking about is just the amount of space from the foul line to the fence. There's a lot more space on this field because it was built for a minor league ballpark and then kind of remodeled over the years. But Ozark River Mountain Ducks used to play here, and the field's kind of just stuck around in the Springfield area as almost just like an eerie landmark.
So it swung on, fouled. Fair ball. Easy play there for first baseman Landon Watkins. Now bring up Tanner Grant, trying to avoid 3 up, 3 down.
As soon as you can get them back to the field of play, to the dugouts, that'll be great, because they're not souvenirs.
Dang it.
They're souvenirs now.
I'm just saying, if one comes back here underneath the tent and I grab, I think I'm gone. I think you'd expect me just to run as if I won the lottery.
Yeah, I don't have to call the game by myself. Don't do that. I don't know. Take it to your car and come back.
I'd have like 8 or 9 people like the cart narcs you see on YouTube, where it's like, you didn't put your cart away.
That one swung on, grounded to Landon Watkins again. That was a great play.
Well, he better hurry because, that seemed kind of hesitant. They're not going to say anything. Looked like he threw the ball away almost right before he stepped on the bag, but they're not going to sometimes celebrate too early. But another 1-2-3 inning by John Paul Sawyer and 2 nice plays by the first baseman, Landon Watkins.
Dotson.
Number 5, Grant Dotson.
At the plate here for the Indians. First pitch from Gamble. There's a ball. It's a 1-0 count.
9-1-2 here for the Indians, and they did a really nice job. Their first 2 hitters reached on base, and since then, Gamble's done a really nice job of limiting the team, kind of like what we saw last night. Ethan Taylor gave up a couple hits right away, but kind of settled down and ended up giving up no hits through 2 through 6 in that one, and so he just kept the Eagles in it, and that's something that you can try to do, as both of those teams gave up or scored a little bit more than 7 runs in each contest throughout the year, and so holding that offense to 2 runs is just as good as anything else they could have done, especially when both of those runs are unearned. And so for Jackson Gamble here, just trying to keep Nixa alive in this one.
Onto a swung on grounded Caden Cloud. Here's a throw in time for out number 1. We're going to reset up to the top of the order. Henley Parker tripled his last time up. Looking to do something similar here.
Top of the order, number 12, Henley Parker.
To hopefully add some insurance here for the Indians.
Yeah, and the way the outfielders are going to be set up, it'll be interesting to where Reese Sternberger plays, because he was able to shoot it through the left and center field gap, but a lot of hitters we can do that, can almost hit it between the center field and right field gap, and Sternberger's kind of just walking around out there, just trying to get the feel of where he's supposed to be in right field. Hasn't really had a whole lot of opportunities yet. A whole lot of the right fielders haven't really had much of an opportunity, as that one is smoked down the third base line by foul, and so that will probably pull Ryland Michelle probably a little bit closer, which even makes that gap a little bit bigger. And so when you think about where outfielders are positioned, especially, Vincent Wyatt's playing really, really shallow in terms of where this field's at. The 1-1's fouled back, but something to keep in mind, when he can pull the ball into the gap, that really causes trouble, and ultimately, as we talked about in that first inning, scored a run for the Jackson Indians.
So it's a 1-0 score. As you mentioned, they scored a run. It's a 1-2 count here. Jackson Gamble still on the mound. Here's a pitch outside, 2-2. It's a 2-2 count, 1 out. Here's the pitch from Gamble. Curveball swung on, strike 3. That's the second outing in this inning.
For the Nixa Eagles.
And another strikeout.
The next batter up, number 10,
Jackson Gamble.
Cooper Rhodes.
Cooper Rhodes. He smoked one. Actually, no, that was not him. That was Caden Nogampo. I kind of got my Got ahead of myself there. Well, he did smoke when it was a single. He ended up scoring Henley Parker. It's a 1-0 count, 2 outs.
That single could have potentially held the runner at third base. Got through a couple fielders.
That one swung on, lifted to center field, but Wyatt Vincent will get under to make the catch for out number 3. So 2 scoreless innings for the Indians, but they're still up 1-0 heading to the home half of the third.
Top.
Mason Eagleberger and his blonde mullet leading it off here for the Eagles. 7-8-9 here. Mason Eagleberger, Broadmaven, and Colin Ustry up at the plate. And Nixa trailing by a run here. Has yet to get a hit as that ground ball is to the second baseman. Takes a weird hop, but he's able to put it in his glove and fire that one to Landon Watkins for the first out here. 1 pitch into the game. Inning, rather.
Yeah, Broadmaven to the plate here.
The batter, number
Eagles
12,
hitless so far through 2 1/3. That brings up Broadmaven, like I mentioned.
John Paul Sawyer's done a really nice job so far of getting the Eagles to swing at kind of weak contact-like pitches. That one's just a bit high for a ball, but just something that he's been able to pretty much do all year. When you talk about what kind of situation a right-handed pitcher is going to try to get himself involved in. Ground ball, third baseman playing a little bit shallow on there, but he's able to get another ground out. And those kind of high contact plays is something we like to see from Colin Kelly a lot of times, or the weak contact plays a big factor in how this game is played. And ultimately here, the Eagles are trying not to go 9 up, 9 down here.
So Colin Ustry to the plate. Been a 9-hole all year when he plays. He really knows his position, what his job is to do. That one's in there for strike number 1, 0-1 count.
I asked him right before the school year ended. We were wrapping up the yearbook page. I'm on the yearbook baseball spread, but kind of asked him how it felt to be on the 9th spot when you have Wyatt Vincent right behind you. And a lot of these kind of situations is what he talks about, is that pitch is inside for a strike. Doesn't seem like a lot of people liked the call. And he was just telling me that, you know, these kind of situations, 2 outs, nobody on, he's just trying to do anything he can to get Wyatt up at the plate. So the 0-2 comes in, is going to be a called strike 3 on that outside corner. Freezes Colin Ustry there. So John Paul Sawyer goes 1-2-3 for the 3rd straight time. And we'll head to the top of the 4th inning here. Jackson still up 1-0.
We're back here for the top of the fourth inning. Jackson Gamble's still on the mound here for the Eagles. Indians lead 1-0 after they scored 1 in the first inning. First pitch is to be high for ball number 1.
After the first 2 batters reached here for the Indians, ever since that point on, Gamble's been up 9 down for them.
Kind of feels like what happened yesterday. They got a early run, and just pitcher got in high gear and is pitching really well now. And that one swung on down the first base line like we mentioned yesterday. Ethan Taylor on the mound threw an absolute gem of a game. He went 6 innings pitched. So 0 earned runs, 2 hits, but Liberty North did come out on top 2-1. Gamble pitches, swung on, lifted really high. Tanner Grant calling it, almost gets ran over. He makes the catch for out number 1.
And the difficulty when it gets that high up, we're pretty much blue skies, so it's a little bit easier to tell it where the ball's at when there's not a whole lot of clouds around. But Bogenpol crushed one in that first inning that could have caused a lot more damage, just went foul, and on that one is able to just get some weak contact, so that kind of tells me they decided to go a little bit more inside with their pitch location on him.
Speaking of inside, that's inside for strike number 1. It's an 0-1 count. Quentin Borge at the plate. Grounded out his last time up. That one swung on, grounded to Colin Usry. Here's the throw. In time for out number 2.
Colin Usry, ground ball, pick up, throw to Grant.
Sometimes the best thing you can do in those types of situations is just stay where you're at and wait for the ball to come to you. It seems like, from Usry's perspective, that ball just kind of could take as much time as it wanted to get in his glove. He was going to stay where he was at, and that ball just kind of followed him. It's a little bit of a tougher play if you're running towards the ball, especially when you've got a runner like Borders who was running as fast as he could down that line. He had a couple stolen bases in the doubleheader too, so when that speed is present on the base pass, especially when you're trying to get to first base on a ground ball, that kind of keeps this defense a little bit more intact.
So change up in the dirt, swung on. There's an 0-2 count here with 2 outs.
Hackworth flew out to center field to end that first inning.
Here's the pitch from Gamble, high, 1-2. So 1-2 count, 2 outs. 1-0 is the score here, top of the 4th inning. Swung on, fouled off, hit him after the swing, and we'll continue this inning. Like we mentioned, the Indians scored 1 in the first inning. Been scoreless ever since. Eagles are scoreless and hitless through 3. Looking to change that when they get another chance to bat here in the bottom of the 4th. First, you have to get to it first. 1-2 pitch inside, evens the count up at 2-2.
So kind of something interesting. They kind of go outside on the last 2 pitches to get 2 strikes, and then they go inside with one they fouled off, trying to get him to chase again, and a pitch that's a little bit more inside, and he elects not to.
That one's outside, mixed full. Gamble kind of shrugged at that one. Might have wanted the call. But nonetheless, it's a full count here with 2 outs. He gets set. Here's the pitch. Swung on, foul back. We'll do it again. Hackworth doing a great job staying alive in this at-bat.
And quality at-bats, especially with 2 outs, is going to be a really important thing for both sides here. Try to just get the pitchers as much as they can. I don't think Hughes is going to pull him unless there's...
That one swung on, lifted high, deep left field, but shallow, and that one's caught by Rylan Michelle. So we're going to head bottom of the 4th inning.
3 up and 3 down.
Be right back. lead it off here. Home half of the fourth inning. He's tying his cleat, it looks like, to start off this at bat. Now he steps in. Eagles hitless through 3. Sawyer gets to the plate. Ball high, 1-0 count.
As you mentioned, they're hitless through 3. They've been able to put contact on though. Both they've been strikeout in every inning so far for Sawyer. 3 on the day. As that one's going to be a ground ball. The shortstop bobbles it a little bit, but is able to get Vincent out at first base. And it's been the ground out so far that's been a lot impacting this team. 2 flyouts in the first inning, but then from that point on, it's been 2 ground outs in the second and the third inning, but ultimately before a strikeout. And so Sawyer's been able to put the ball in play for this offense, but has just been able to put it where his infield can grab it so far. And whenever you can keep that ball in the infield, it really helps out, as that one's going to be high to Ryland Michelle for ball 1.
So it's a 1-0 count, 1 out. Ryland Michelle at the plate. He flew out his last time up. Here's the pitch to him. Swung on, fouled off, 1-1.
They're going to give the catcher a little bit of time, it looks like. Although the umpire is going to... They're going to look at something here as the umpire goes up to the pitcher's mound, and now the catcher's waiting at the mound as well. Music starts playing. It looks like they're just giving the catcher a little bit of time, maybe hit that top part of right on top of the shin guard, and sometimes in that instance you just try to give him as much time as you can to recover. He walks to the mound and now walks back, so Baden Hackworth, the catcher for the Indians, is all right, and so Ryland Michelle gives him a little bit of support, a little pat on the back there. So
now we're going to have a 1-1 pitch here from Sawyer. 1 out. Here's the pitch to Michelle. Swung on. 1-2.
I don't think he's thrown a faster pitch all night. That seemed like a pitch just to get his, the rhythm back.
So Michelle seems to scoot in just a little bit on the plate. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on, fouled down the third base line. Just straighten that swing out, as someone says in the crowd.
It's going to be pitch Ryland Michelle once back. That's the first pitch that's really been hit hard by the Eagles so far in this one.
And we have Ethan Taylor going to chase that ball down. We don't have anybody else that can go do that. 1-2 pitch, swung on, foul back. Huh? What is Brady Reedson doing down there? Apparently nothing.
Ricochets off of the 2014 NCAA regional jury. The Drury Panthers play here, and Patriots do as well. Lots of teams use this field. That one's kind of a squeeze
yeah, but that's
play.
Drop.
But it's going to drop.
Center field, kind of like a check swing. He didn't want to fully swing. He goes, don't have a choice. Makes contact, and then bloops in there center field. That's going to be the first hit for the Eagles with 1 out for Caden Cloud.
Getting that first base runner on base is a lot easier to create momentum when there's 1 out instead of 2. The 2-out offense didn't really seem like it was there for the Eagles, and even an instance like when they had the bases loaded with 1 out, and yesterday's game in the second inning, they weren't able to get anything across the board, but when we're able to get Ryland Michelle on base, that definitely helps out.
Ryland Michelle's going to go as that gets out of the catcher's glove, and he'll be safe at second base. That ball low, and now we've been running in scoring position here with 1 out.
Kind of interesting. Cloud at first was like, don't go, kind of raised his hand up, which is the signal of, don't move unless my hand waves around, and now the catcher is going to go meet up with his pitcher, probably just to tell him that's my bad, but here we're going to change the signs a little bit, because in games like this, it's a lot easier just to tell the pitcher, hey, here's the next 3 or 4 pitches I'm throwing, or here's the next 3 pitches that you're going to go for instead, because now that with Ryland Michelle at second base, that kind of changes things up when the Eagles, with their first opportunity to get a runner in scoring position, and potentially tie this game up here in the bottom of the 4th, and what's been a very quick pitcher's duel here in Ozark.
So 1-0 count, 1 out. Ryland Michelle at second base. So I'm going to foul back. Ryland Michelle was the only person with an RBI yesterday as he hit home Wyatt Vincent after Wyatt tripled. No, I'm wrong. That was Caden Cloud. Caden Cloud's the one with an RBI yesterday. He hit home Wyatt Vincent after he tripled. So Caden Cloud looking to do something similar here to tie the game up. As Ryland Michelle sits at second base here with 1 out.
The biggest difference yesterday, Eagles were able to get 5 hits, and They were able to hold the Eagles to 2.
That was swung on, fouled, right, not fouled, hit to right field. There's going to be runners in the corners. Caden Cloud rounds first. All over the place. It's been a while. But now Jack Edwards, no one else you'd rather have at the plate right now. So now Jack Edwards at the plate with runners at the corner, and the tying run is 90 feet away at third base.
And good job by Michelle there not to get caught up with anything. He was at second base, and when a play like that is lined, your first instinct is to run and try to get a good head start, but he decides to wait on it, and that probably held him from scoring in the first place. But you've got to make sure that the second baseman doesn't make a nice play, as the check swing is going to go in for a strike to Edwards. And then with Nimmo, Coach Nimmo, our third base coach, is telling him to go all the way, but then Michelle's still watching, so he's watching his third base coach tell him to go, and he's realizing, I don't think I should go. So he gets his lead and then decides to back off because the right fielder, Bokenpol, decided he was going to fire that one into the plate.
Better safe than sorry, as we saw the game before this state championship. Guy was running first. He said, I think I can make it, and they lost the game because he decided he wanted to run a second instead.
I think they lost that game before that point. They were trailing 8-1. Festus beat the Knights up.
Hey.
But yes, base running decisions do impact the game.
Jackson scored 7 runs in the last inning.
Babe Ruth got caught stealing to end the World Series against the Cardinals.
Why was Babe Ruth stealing?
Yeah, that's what I've always wanted to know. I want to see Babe Ruth running, trying to, but he got caught up at second base, and that was the end of the World Series.
That one's a chopper, second base, double play ball, and it will be a double play ball, and they get out of the jam. And so Indians get out of the jam. The runners in the corners, 1 out, and they turn a double play, and they keep the score at 1-0. Heading to the top of the 5th.
The first batter up, number 22, Steven Schneider.
Steven Schneider, the left fielder for the Indians, starts off here in the top of the 5th inning.
I think it's safe to say that Hughes, they got Rylan Evans warming up in the bullpen over there, and I'd like to think they'd probably bring him in around that 6th inning point, and let's see if he can get through the 5th before you start thinking about bringing somebody else in. But I think you're more concerned about getting through that 3rd time through the order, as that one is smoked down to left field, and that one is going to be just foul. Probably about maybe a foot or two on the left side of that foul pole, but that would have definitely been extra bases. And Michelle's got to go over and grab that one. But, you know, it's something to keep in mind here. And it was something that we didn't really see a whole lot yesterday. Both teams were all right sending their pitchers out there for the third time through the order. And that's something that a lot of times in baseball, especially in today's game, when you look at the analytics and different things about sports, one of the biggest examples of how that's impacted the big, you know, Major League Baseball was in 2020 when the Rays and the Dodgers were playing in the World Series, and Blake Snell in the game that would determine if the Dodgers could win the World Series or if the Rays were going to make it a Game 7, they pulled Blake Snell 6 innings in after he was pitching dominantly because of the third time through the order. And what ended up happening is the Dodgers hit up on the Rays bullpen that had been kind of shaky throughout that postseason, and the Dodgers ended up winning that game. And so when you look at how different teams attack it, obviously it's a little bit different in high school level.
That one swung on. Slow ground ball to Broden May, but it's going to be thrown in time for out number 1. And something I'm curious of, where's Colin Kelly at? Usually Colin Kelly's the man they're throwing right now, but I guess they're going to go with Rylan Evans unless something changes.
Next batter, number 1.
I think a lot of it is probably more the idea that Rylan Evans being a senior at this point, just, you know, Ryan Raytone was in the booth for just a little bit and kind of said that they're going to probably throw a lot of seniors tonight, just try to get everybody that last opportunity that they can of high school baseball. Because while, yeah, some of these pitchers are going to be playing in college and doing different things and doing summer ball, your last high school experience is something that a lot of these players on this team value quite a lot.
So 1-0 count, 1 out. And Watkins sees that pitch outside for ball number 2. It's a 2-0 count. Here's the pitch from Gamble. Swung on, grounded, slow grounder to Colin Ussery. Here's a throw in time for out number 2.
Colin Ussery.
He's been able to induce quite a lot here, and
Flips it to Grant at first.
he's looking for his 4th inning in a row of 1, 2, 3.
6.
And he's retired his last 14 batters here, trying to make it 15 against Jack Wyatt, the second baseman, out of the 8th spot.
So 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Gamble. Low, 1-0. So 1-0 pitch, 2 outs. Here's the pitch from Gamble. Swung on, grounded on the third base line.
Ooh.
Fair ball.
Takes
Gets
a
past
weird
Broden
hop.
May. He gets off his glove and deflects. Here's a throw to Caden Cloud in second. Is it in time? It is. He was out. It was not in time.
Ooh.
He snuck his hand under there. No reaction from Hughes.
Looked like, just from the instant reaction, looked like he hit the bag at second base instead of the batter. Kind of just a weird play. He had to overextend. He's over on the right side of the base when you're viewing it from the outfield, and then he kind of has to stand over to where Wyatt is running in at second base. And Broden May didn't like the call, did the Miguel Cabrera after the perfect game was broken up. Just kind of put his hands over his head, went into a squat, and looked over immediately. But Hughes is just going to kind of let him play here. And I just took a kind of crooked hop and then hit off of the foul side of the base. But if it hits the base at all, it's a fair ball.
I'm confused. Well, it's grounded Caden Cloud. Hopefully he can make the play. He does for out number 3. And there might go argue that, but I think it's going to be what just happened over there thing, because either way, the inning's over, and we're going to head to the bottom of the 5th, 1-0 score. Reese Sternberger here to start off the bottom of the 5th inning.
That one's going to be up and away for a ball.
Don't know what Jordan Bird's saying to me right now. But this is the inning that the Eagles did score their first run of the game last night. That one swung on. Make it a 1-1 count.
Takes off the catcher's mask there. He kind of has to go and retrieve that one. No big deal, though, with nobody on base. And Sternberger, 5-6-7 here for the Eagles, and that's part of the lineup that had probably, if you're looking at it, generally the most success.
That one swung on, grounded up the middle of the shortstop. Here's a throw in time for out number 1, Henley Parker at shortstop.
And that's the first out.
Eagles were able to get a little bit of a rally going in the 4th, but weren't able to bring in that runner from third base. That was Rylan Michelle, but for Tanner Grant here, that's just going to be something he's going to be looking for. That first opportunity he had in that 2nd inning, he grounded out to end that inning. So he's just trying to get on base here and bring up Eagleburgers. That one's high and goes back to the backstop here, but it'll be a ball.
So it's a 1-0 count here with 1 out. Tanner Grant at the plate. He grounded out his last time up.
Okay. Burns calling a shot here, saying they're going to score 2 here in the bottom of the 5th.
Paul Sawyer taking his times. That one's going to center field, and it's caught by second baseman Jack Wyatt. I don't know if the jump was necessary, but he makes the catch.
A lot of times, too, whenever you, as a second baseman, you're hearing the center fielder's voice saying, you know, I got it, and then pulling back. So you're also kind of worried. Obviously, you're not looking behind you. You don't have eyes behind the back of your head, but where in the world's your center fielder? So you kind of have to jump to try to avoid what you think is someone behind you. So Mason Eagleburger will come up just looking to get on base here. And a lot of this team so far, but besides the top of the order, hasn't had much success against John Paul Sawyer.
That one swung on left to right field. Right fielder will not move at all. So Caden Bogenpaul makes the catch for out number 3. And we're going to head to the top of 6th inning. 1-0 is still the score. Be right back. Henley Parker, a shortstop, will lead off here for the Indians. The top of the 6th inning. That one swung on, lifted. Center field, Wyatt Vincent making his way under it, and he makes the catch for out number 1. I always say he makes a catch before he does because I have a lot of trust in him. Missouri State commit, nationally ranked in class 2025.
The batter, number 10, Cooper Rhodes.
Now Cooper Rhodes to the plate. First pitch to him, outside corner. Strike number 1.
So far responsible for the only run of the game, the second batter of the game. Doesn't have any on base here, but
check swing, did he go? He did not. Edwards threw the ball back to Gamble when he wasn't even paying attention yet. So it's a 1-0 count here with 1 out. So now we have Kelly and Evans warming up in the bullpen. 1-0 count, 1 out. Here's the pitch. Inside. 2-0. I think he was going to look at it as how this next inning goes, like offensively, to see who he's going to put in. That pitch in there for strike number 1, 2-1 count. So 2 balls, 1 strike. 1 out. Here's the pitch. Ooh. Strike 3 looking, it said 2-1, and then it 2-2. And that's another strikeout for Jackson Gamble.
That brings up the bat.
Hasn't had one since that 3rd inning to lead off. He had struck out 1 batter in each of the first 3, but last 2 innings just have been able to get kind of contact outs.
That one swung on. Strike number 1. Caden Dogenpole at the plate. First inning, he mashed one to right field, but ended up being foul. Here's the pitch to him. Outside, 1-1.
We got about 3 or 4 rows back. We've got a girl trying to balance her. Looks like some sort of vitamin water, some sparkling water can on top of her head. She's doing a pretty good job at it. I don't know how well we would do with these headsets on trying to balance something, but maybe we can have Burns try to get something on his head here. We got a few water bottles up here.
Yeah, that's been my thing keep me through this game. That one swung on, lifted right field, but it's all going to be foul again.
Another one like that. They're going to keep that one in the bullpen for Jackson, but so far I don't really think they've needed a lot of bullpen work. John Paul Sawyer's done a really nice job so far.
2-2 count here with 2 outs. Gamble gets set. Here's the dish to the plate. Curveball outside. Makes the count full.
It's kind of tough whenever you talk about like consistency of an umpiring crew. That one pretty similar to the one that struck out Rhodes, maybe just a little bit more outside on that outside corner.
Full count outside, and we'll walk Caden Dogenpole. And I think that is Jackson Gamble's first walk of the game.
Yes, you are correct.
So that puts a runner at first with 2 outs. Jackson looking to add some extra insurance.
Number 7, Quentin Borders.
Borders so far 0 for 2 with 2 ground outs. A lot of this team 0 for 2 with very similar plate appearances. Braden Hackworth, the catcher on deck, is 0 for 2 with 2 fly outs. So, and then the 9-hitter, Grant Dotson, 0 for 2 with 2 ground outs himself. So, very similar results whenever you talk about the hitting crew for even both sides here.
So 0-1. That pitch high makes it 1-1. 2 outs.
Kind of think that regardless of how this at-bat goes, they're going to send Bogenpole from first base. Got himself a little bit of a hefty lead, and Edwards kind of looked back at first base.
On to there for strike number 2, makes the count 1-2. 2 outs. Gamble starting to find his groove. Actually, he found his groove late first inning, but now he's really finding it here. 1-2 count, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Ball high. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. Curveball swung on, strike 3. And now the Eagles down to their last 6 outs. Heading to the bottom of the 6th inning, looking to get some runs on the board. We'll be right back. Broden Mabe to the plate here to start off the bottom of the 6th inning. Here in the Class 6 third place game. John Paul Sawyer still on the mound here for the Indians. He's thrown a beautiful game, 0 earned runs. He's given up 2 hits.
And both in that 4th inning for Michelle and Caden Cloud with the 8, 9, and 1. That kind of lets me know that towards if it is 1, 2, 3 in this inning, they're going to get another crack at it here and potentially in that 7th inning. Try to just make it matter as that one's a bit low to make it a 2-0 count. And extending at-bats and giving those guys more opportunities here, especially as early as they can. If they can get runners on base here, that'd be a big help.
Oh, it swung on ground. I didn't see it hit the plate, but I guess it did. So that's going to be a foul ball. It's a 2-1 count now. 0 outs. Broden Mabe. Walks to the plate. He's also a junior, so we'll see him next year as well. John Paul Sawyer gets set. Here's the pitch to Mabe. Swung on ground on the third base line. Foul ball. Evens it up at 2-2.
That one just a little bit past. It looks like the Eagles bullpen just having a little bit of trouble coming up with it. But they'll fire that one back into the dugout and just... The Eagles are needing to get base runners here, very similar to the game they had against Blue Springs where they were down by a few runs. And you were kind of mentioning if they don't score in the 6th inning, they're unlikely to score in the 7th, as that one is going to line, but it's going to be just foul in the right field. Drops into the Jackson bullpen. That's about the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen a ball drop into that area.
So Broden Mabe was a little early on the ball, so he said, okay, I'll settle back a little bit, and it was a little late on it. Hopefully he can time it out perfectly and straighten it out and get a hit here. So 2-2's the count. Here's the pitch to Mabe. Swung on, fouled back.
Leg out now. Nixa dugout gets a little bit alarmed. That one kind of winds up over there.
So 2-2. Broden Mabe hearing some encouragement from the crowd here. Here's the pitch. Low and away.
It's a good take by him. He's been swinging at pretty much anything close here, just fouling him off a little bit. And with the one pitch they have left, they throw it a little bit low for him.
3-2. Swung on, fouled off. We'll do it again. Hit him in the foot. Great job here, having a great at-bat. Hoping to get on base.
There's a crowd getting into it here.
Full count, 0 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Jackson leads 1-0. Here's the pitch. Swung on, strike 3. John Paul Sawyer gets another strikeout to add to his amazing stat line for the day, and that's going to bring up Colin Ussery with 1 out.
Hadn't had a strikeout himself since the 3rd inning. Jackson Gamble and Sawyer having about the same amount of stat line here. Gamble's given up 1 more hit and so far 1 more run. So that first pitch to Ussery is going to be swung on and missed for a strike.
So 0-1 count, 1 out. Colin Ussery at the plate. Possibly his last ever at bat in Eagles uniform. Looking to end it in a good note. That one swung on. 0-2.
Struck out his first time in that 3rd inning. Just trying to adjust himself here and get himself in a good spot and change his approach at the plate on the 0-2.
0-2 pitch swung lifted infield. Landon Watkins, the first baseman, makes a catch. And now Wyatt Vincent's going to come up to reset at the top of the order with 2 outs.
The batter, top of the order, number 7, Wyatt Vincent.
Vincent's just, you know, his approach kind of like last night. There was 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning, and while he wasn't able to do much with it, it's a very similar situation. Nobody on base, 2 outs. Just trying to get on base and extend this Eagles inning. Especially for the guy like Ryan Michelle, who's responsible for only 1 of the 2 hits. And if he does get out, in the top of the 7th, they'll have Michelle and Caden Cloud do up 1 and 2, and they're the only 2 guys to get hits so far. So have those guys up in the lineup at this point really helps.
0-1 pitch swung on, foul back, makes the count 0-2. Wyatt Vincent, the Missouri State commit, as we've mentioned.
It's a much different game from the two games we saw pretty much at the very beginning of the season. Both these teams are about 10 to 11 games into their season.
You see a Liberty North player walk by, kind of checking in on the game, it seems like. As they're going to play for the state championship after this game wraps up.
And defended their title from last year. They were victors in 2022.
So 0-2 count, 2 outs. Here's the pitch to Vincent. Low and away, 1-2.
Good take there, kind of debating if he should swing at it. It looks like Liberty North's got a little contingent of players over right below that Nixa dugout.
1-2. Swung on, strike 3.
And another strikeout.
And now we'll end the 6th inning. So heading to the final inning of play, 1-0's the score, Indians lead.
Jackson 1, Nixa 0.
Baden Hackworth, the catcher, going to lead it off here for the Jackson Indians.
Jackson Gamble still on the mound here for the Eagles. First pitch to him.
The Rylan Evans and Colin Kelly still warming up in that bullpen, getting ready here should they be needed.
Here's the 1-0 pitch, high inside, 2-0.
Baden Hackworth.
Here's a pitch from Gamble. Swung on, lifted to center field. Wyatt Vincent getting under it. He makes the catch for out number 1.
Hackworth flies out for the 3rd time in this game. You don't see a whole lot of that where a player just has a consistent outing. And Gamble, like we've mentioned throughout this game, you know, this is his, as Hughes is maybe just going to, he probably might take him out here, just get himself as he will.
Here comes Colin.
Signal to Colin Kelly to get him the standing ovation. That's probably all that was to get that out there. So they're going to talk it over here, but Colin Kelly will come on the mound here, awaiting what should be a nice little ovation. The Nixa dugout comes out on the field. So they're waiting here for, as he gets a hug from Kelly. It's a fist bump to the rest of the crew, and as the Nixa faithful gives them a standing ovation here.
Well deserved. Ends his day with 3 hits given up, 1 earned run. And 6 1/3 inning pitched.
He did what he needed to do, and now here in the top of the 7th, it's going to be the offense's job to get him back in this one so he doesn't end up in the loss column. And I know it's crazy to think about, but that ground ball that just kind of took a really weird hop. It's been 2 just plays that the Eagles just haven't been able. They haven't had those types of plays impact them this way throughout the season. But in the past 2 games, it's definitely impacted them, where different types of instances where just small little things will impact the rest of the game. And so as Colin Kelly warms up, we're going to step aside here. At the top of the 7th inning, 1 out. The Eagles are looking to hold them here. 1-0, they still trail.
We're back here. Colin Kelly will take the mound here with 1 out in the 7th inning. Colin Kelly, a 3.07 ERA on the season. Usually a starter, but he's found himself as a reliever when it comes to playoffs. Here's the pitch from him. Outside corner, strike 1.
No action in the Jackson Indian bullpen either, so John Paul Sawyer is going to be tasked to getting this game under wraps unless they want to bring in one of their infield guys like Caden Bogenpole, but he pitched yesterday, so I doubt it.
That one is close, but that's going to be called the ball until 1-1 count. So 1-1 count, here's the pitch. Outside, 2-1. Two-one count. Here's the pitch. Low, 3-1.
For Kelly, just setting the confidence up, you're only responsible to get 2 outs in this inning, but you don't want to put more base runners on, because I think if the Indians get 1 or even 2 more runs here, as they're going to walk Schneider here, but just getting out of this inning quickly is going to be bode really, really well for what the Eagles are trying to accomplish here on the offense, which is just to get a run to try to tie this game up here in the bottom of the 7th.
Landon Watkins to the plate now. Batting .336 on the season. Kelly gets set. Here's the pitch to him. Low, 1-0.
Kind of takes a weird hop over Jack Edwards' catching needs there.
So 1-0 count, 1 out. Kelly takes a deep breath before stepping on the bump again. Here's the pitch. Runner goes outside. Here's the throw down a second. Not in time. It gets past Colin Ussery. But Caden Cloud kind of keeps it in front of him, and Wyovitz comes in to scoop it up. It's a 2-0 count with the runner in scoring position.
And now that kind of changes things up here, because now I could expect, with it being a 2-0 count, I'd probably expect Landon Watkins to try to bunt the runner on next here. Just watch what they are going to play small ball here, and they're not even really playing deep on third base, but Watkins might decide to swing here.
2-0 count. That pitch gets in there for a 2-1.
But now he's just hoping to get that runner from second base at least a third on anything he can do, or even just walk here on a 2-1 count. Just trying to give Jack Wyatt a better chance to score the runner.
2-1 pitch low, makes it 3-1. Colin Kelly does not look like himself right now. It's very unusual for him.
And Evans is still warming up in that bullpen, and they got a few others out there warming up. So if this inning gets any more ugly, Hughes gives him a little bit of confidence, just telling him to let's go, keep this tempo up.
3-1 pitch, here it is. Swung on, fouled, counts full.
They're going to give the hitter a little bit of time, fouled off it. Looked like the top of that helmet. So they're just going to get a few practice swings in, and Kelly's just going to try to settle down here before this crucial play, because with 2 outs, it's a lot harder to advance that runner.
So 3-2, 1 out. Kelly gets set. Here's the full count pitch. Low. That puts runners at first and second with 1 out.
And the batter gets walked on ball 4.
So Kelly walks the first 2 batters of this game, which is more walks than Gamble allowed the entire game. Walked 1 in the 6th, but that was it the rest of the way
Now
for
batting
him.
number 6,
And
Jackson
just
Wyatt.
as they're going to talk it over, Jack Edwards going to come up to the mound.
Now the story thing about was, I don't know if pulling Gamble was a pitch count thing, but if it wasn't,
which I don't think it would have been.
do you think that was a good choice? If it
Well-
was not a pitch count thing.
Well, I do think that in certain instances, when you look at the two batters, Schneider grounded out his last time and Watkins grounded out. And those were kind of, while they were weak contact, as they show bunt here, and he's going to have to make a tough play. They all trip up, and everyone's going to be safe. Kelly, it was really tough. Kelly and Broden Mabe just couldn't communicate as to who was going to get there. And so when that fell in Colin Kelly's glove, there just wasn't a whole lot with that. They are going to give him a hit on that, it looks like. And Wyatt had got himself a single earlier, but just, it's more about that third or fourth time through the order, as Hughes is going to drop his clipboard and now come out. So it looks like Rylan Evans still kind of tossing a little bit. So I think they'd keep Kelly, but after 2 walks and a little drooper single that was more of a safety squeeze bunt to try to advance the runners, it puts them in a really tough spot here. And Rylan Evans really keeping up that pace in the bullpen, and they've just really put themselves in a hole here. If Jackson gets any more runs, I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to pull this one off. Obviously, we've seen wilder things this season, especially in this ballpark. Down 7-0 to Webb City. We were able to win, but just as the umpire comes out to try to wrap it up. But they're giving more time to Rylan or just different things like that. Because I think what might happen is Henley Parker, if Kelly's job is to get just one more out here, get Dotson out, then they might try to bring in Rylan Evans here. But I'm not totally sure what's going to happen. Obviously, Kelly's going to stay in for one more batter here. But for Dotson, 0 for 2 on the day with 2 ground outs. And that's Colin Kelly's specialty, is just to get the few ground outs. And the infield is going to play very shallow. First baseman and third baseman playing to go to the plate. And Cloud and Ussery playing for the double play.
So that pitch in there for a ball. It's a 1-0 count. Brayton Tangora along with Rylan Evans. Both seniors warming up in there and seem to be speeding up as fast as they can. I'm not going to say Kelly is going to be going really fast either. Shows bunt, gets it down. Here's a throw to first. That will score a run, but he gets the out. So that'll make it 2-0 for the Indians. But they get the out nonetheless.
Did what he needed to do there for Dotson. The bunt was going to play a big factor here in this inning. They do 2 bunts, and that's just the cost of not being able to get that first out. And so Henley Parker will come up for his chance here.
12, Henley Parker.
And now with runners at second and third base here with 2 outs, they're just trying to add on against Colin Kelly.
Here's the pitch, swung on, fouled off.
Heads up, folks.
0-1.
It's a foul ball. Please bring it back.
Kay gets it, he goes, no, not bringing that back.
I don't think the kids are going to be bringing that one back. I'm going to toss it around a few.
Now.
Somebody's going to probably come over there and demand it back, and the kids are going to feel like, hey, it's our foul ball. They don't do
Run while you
that.
can, children. Run while you can.
This isn't a World Baseball Classic. Whenever someone hits a home run, they take the ball back.
Curveball in there for strike number 2. 0-2 count, 2 outs. So the Eagles' 7th inning offensively just got very scarier because they went from needing one run to needing 2 runs, and
One big hit, but yeah.
A pitch outside, 1-2. So Kelly stepping on the mound here, trying to get out of this inning. Gets out on the field. So 1-2 pitch. Here it is. Swung off to center field. Wyatt Vincent making his way under it. Puts his glove up and makes the catch for out number 3. So now Eagles down to their final 3 outs. They need 2 to continue this game, 3 to win it. We'll be right back.
So it's going to be Rylan Michelle, Caden Cloud, and Jack Edwards up here, bottom of the 7th inning. And they're going to need to do a little bit of damage here. Down by 2 now. Indians 2 runs off 4 hits, and the Eagles no runs on 2 hits. And Rylan Michelle and Caden Cloud, 2 and 3 hitters on this lineup, are the only 2 responsible for base hits so far in this one. John Paul Sawyer's still out there. And the first pitch to Cloud is going to be a grounder that's going to be foul. A nice little catch by the side umpire over there. They have a few umpires sitting right where normally the camera people would be in a Major League Baseball game. They got a little spot for them, where the bat boys are.
So it's an 0-1 count here with 0 outs. Rylan Michelle at the plate. Sawyer with the pitch. Outside, evens the count up at 1-1.
The approach here by any of these batters is just to keep the line moving. They were really good about that against Jackson earlier in the season, just haven't been able to do that here.
1-1 pitch in there for strike number 2. 1-2 count.
Feeling the crowd's getting a little bit nervous here as the sun starts to move in where the shade was at the beginning of the game, so just trying to keep themselves intact here.
1-2 pitch outside, 2-2.
Michelle is trying to just do anything he can. Sawyer's not going to give him anything good, though.
That one swung on and drilled way foul. Count stays at 2-2. We'll do it again.
Looks like someone did come over there and grab that baseball from him. They're really, really sad over there.
There's the pitch inside, full count.
Nice job to make the count full. He's not swinging at anything that he thinks is too far off the plate, and he's just trying to bring that tying running up to the plate here.
3-2 pitch, ball high, and that puts the leadoff runner on first base.
The first walk of the day by John Paul Sawyer. No one warming up in that bullpen either, so Sawyer is going to be responsible for the last 3 outs of this game regardless. And now with Caden Cloud up at the plate, 1 for 2 on the day, struck out in the first inning, then singled in the 4th and got caught up on that double play ball. But with Jack Edwards on deck, this is the part of the lineup you want to see in this instance, with the last 3 outs potentially being Cloud, Edwards, and Reese Sternberg.
Runner on first base, Caden Cloud at the plate. 0 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning in the Class 6 third-place game. Here's a pitch to Cloud, swung on, lifted, foul territory, first baseman hustling to it, and he will not make the catch as the second baseman kind of gives a little dive there. But I think he's about 20 feet short.
Yeah, that ball was just kind of put where the triangle of baseball players. You have the right fielder Bogenpole. First baseman's trying to get to that one, but they all just kind of, it was going to be a weird angle because the first baseman, Watkins, is having to backpedal to try to see where the ball's at. And then you have the second baseman, Jack Wyatt, trying to run in pretty much opposite of the side of the field to try to grab it. And he kind of does a little Superman dive there, but luckily that one falls in between all 3 of them. So it'll be an 0-1 count now to Caden Cloud.
0-1 count, runner on first. John Paul Sawyer gets set. Here's the dish to the plate. Ball low. Count evens at 1-1.
Surprised they don't have anybody warming up in that bullpen just in case if 1 or 2 base runners reach here. You want to be able to go to a guy who can get outs right away, and I know that Sawyer's done a really good job at that so far, but kind of curious they don't have anybody warming up over there.
1-1 pitch, swung on, lifted to center field. That was going to drop. Rylan Michelle rounding second, heading to third. He trips.
He slips.
He's throwing it to third. Here's going to hustle back to second base, and now his runners on first and second, but now Rylan Michelle should be at third base right now. And we've seen that happen to the Eagles multiple times throughout the season. We usually laugh about it, but now this is the time where we shouldn't be laughing.
Well, I think it's a little bit easier to kind of be all right, not necessarily all right with that. Obviously runners at the corners, but would have been helpful there. But his run doesn't necessarily matter in this instance. It's Caden Cloud, and those 2 being the only responsible runners here for this team in this entire game really shows how important that is. So for Edwards, a guy who grounded into the double play to end the 4th inning with runners at the corners, his job here is just to get at least one of these runners in here, or at least potentially just load the bases.
Edwards was responsible for the 2 RBI that gave the Eagles the lead in the district championship as he bunts and puts the runners at second and third with 1 out. And now this brings up Reese Sternberger. Who better to have in this position than a senior? Someone who is hoping that they end their season, their last high school game, on a good note. And they're going to put in Reese Sternberger with one out. And he was also a really good clutch hitter. We saw him in that William Chrisman game.
Correction. Landon Watkins to Jackson Wyatt.
So here now, Reese Sternberger struggled last season, but has had a really good season so far. Comes in 0 for 2 on the game with 2 ground outs, and still nobody warming up in that bullpen. While I'm surprised by the bunt, I'm not necessarily most surprised. And getting the runners on base is important here. As that one is going to be lined into right field. That one's going to drop, and they're going to send one. They're going to hold the runners at the corners, so Sternberger will score one of the runs. Catcher dropped the ball, so he probably would have scored. It's a tough play to call it where it's going to be. Bogenpol has a really nice arm as a pitcher, but in that instance, that's what you're wanting to do. So Sternberger brings in the RBI single, and now with the tying run at third base and the winning walk-off run at first, as it looks like they're going to probably bring in Josiah Jenkins to run here, and that's about as good of a decision as you can do. Sternberger put the ball where he needed to put it, as it looks like they are going to make the switch to Josiah Jenkins out there on the field. Manager for Jackson still not bringing anybody up, but as this crowd now gets back into this game, they now trail only by a run like they did at the top of this inning, and now with the tying running, but also the double play intact here. So
runners are at the corners here with one out. Like you mentioned, double play is a possibility. Tanner Grant at the plate. He leads the team in home runs. He's also a senior. They're going to put Josiah Jenkins at first base just to limit the possibility of a double play happening.
And even just to get that winning running in, because while Sternberger is fast, he's not Josiah Jenkins fast. And I think that's a lot of this team that they've seen so far. So this crowd gets involved with the first baseman, Tanner Grant, up at the plate.
And Tanner Grant has a lot of pop on his bat, so a deep fly ball to the outfield can score Caden Cloud from third. So that's what they might be looking for here. Here's the pitch to him. Swung on.
Fell off the catcher's mask.
One. So runners at the corners. Caden Cloud 90 feet away. He's a tying run at third base. Both teams have 4 hits. Indians lead 2-1.
And Mason Eagleberger on deck so far.
So 0-1 count, 1 out. Cloud at third, Jenkins at first. Tanner Grant at the plate, a senior, looking to hopefully get a hit here. Here's the pitch. Strike 2.
Kind of jammed him on the outside pitch. You know, you're kind of expecting a little bit something inside, but whenever he's kind of curving it in a little bit, you're not wanting to swing at anything too far, or you're wanting to pick your spot where to swing.
So 0-2 count, 1 out. Gets set. Here's the pitch. Runner goes. Strike 3 call, but Jenkins is going to be safe at second.
And that was probably a by design type of play, but now it's up to Mason Eagleberger. The winning run is at second base in Josiah Jenkins, and that catcher wasn't going to throw, because the possibility presents itself where if he throws the ball, it's a ball, or even if that ball goes over the outfield and the Eagles take the lead. But
so Mason Eagleberger at the plate here. Runners in second and third. Winning run sits at second, tying at third. 2 outs. 2-1's the score. Here's the pitch. Outside corner, strike 1.
Hughes gets telling Eagleberger to get on the bases and let's go. Jenkins at second, Caden Cloud at third, 2 outs. Jackson holds a 2-1 lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
0-1 count, 2 outs. Sawyer takes a look back to second. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lifted, foul territory. Catcher throws off his mask, and he will not accept. It's on the screen. You can't catch it.
They're going to call it an out.
It's on the screen.
And that's going to end the game. Jackson's going to win it. It kind of just barely ended up on, didn't hit the screen, just kind of angled up the way he wanted to. And Jackson's going to win the game 2-1 here to take third place in the state of Missouri. Eagles fought hard and fought to come back and get a run off John Paul Sawyer, but they could not bring in a second run with runners at second and third.
So we're going to sign off here as the Eagles take 4th place in Class 6. We are not. Oh yeah, we're gonna turn on so you can hear the medal presentations, trophy presentation. But Eagles fall in the Class 6 third place game, 2-1 to the Jackson Indians.
Jackson, their first time in the Final Four, gets third place, and for District 1 team to come in and prove themselves to everyone, it's definitely something that they're going to hold on to for a long time. And for these Eagles, they're going to hold on to it for a long time as well.
So we're going to step aside before the trophy presentation and the medal presentations. We'll be right back.
Will be the Nixa Assistant Executive Directors Doug Fessler and Greg Stahl. First, for our fourth place team, let's give a big round of applause for the Nixa Eagles, coached by Logan Hughes. And now for the individual medals, to the head coach, Logan Hughes. Assistant coach, Brock Blansett. Assistant coach, Landon Kelly. Assistant coach, Troy Nemo. Assistant coach, Michael York. And now to the players. Number 1, Josiah Jenkins. Number 2, Ryland Michelle. Number 3, Caden Cloud. Number 4, Mason Eagleberger. Number 5, Colin Ussery. Number 6, Jackson Gamble. Number 7, Wyatt Vincent. Number 8, Tyler Yonkers. Number 9, Reese Gavin Kranz. Number 10, Rylan Evans. Number 11, Alex Thomason. Number 12, Broden Mabe. Number 13, Caleb Jones. Number 14, Reese Dernberger. Number 15, Garrig Oaf. Number 16, Tanner Grant. Number 17, Jackson Edwards. Number 18, Drew Creed. Number 19, Brayton Tangora. Number 20, Ethan Taylor. Number 21, Ryan Buckner. Number 22, Peyton Lemon. Number 23, Parker Mann. Number 24, Elijah Adams. Number 26, Carter Fangro. Number 28, Nathan Uber. Number 29, Cale Harris. Number 30, Chase Keeler. Number 31, Orrin Radford. Number 32, Brady Rattone. Number 33, Colin Kelly. Number 34, Peyton Ewing. Congratulations to the Nixa Eagles on a fine 2023 season and a 4th place finish in the state of Missouri. And now for our 3rd place team, let's give a big round of applause for the Jackson Indians, coached by Josh Roach. And now for the individual medals. To the head coach, Josh Roach. Assistant coach, Corey Atkinson. Assistant coach, Jason Bruns. And assistant coach, Jason Chavez. Assistant coach, John Schumer. And assistant coach, Jeremy Smith. And now for the players. Number 0, Caden Kendall. Number 1, Landon Watkins. Number 3, Brenson Garcia. Number 4, Jaden Glency. Number 5, Grant Dotson. Number 6, Jackson Wyatt. Number 7, Quentin Borders. Number 9, Adrian Fox. Number 10, Cooper Rhodes. Number 12, Henley Parker. Number 14, Garrison Brown. Number 15, Caleb Nininger. Number 16, Caden Mugenpole. Number 17, Owen Osborne. Number 20, John Paul Sauer, the 5th. Number 21, Baden Hackworth. Number 22, Stephen Schneider. Number 25, Colton Hartle. Number 27, Aiden Shaver. Number 28, Peyton Busink. Number 30, Waylon Hale. Number 31, Carson McDaniel. Number 33, Dylan Heyman. And number 34, Peyton Kite. Congratulations to the Jackson Indians on a fine 2023 season and a 3rd place finish in the state of Missouri. Congratulations to both teams on a fine game, and hopefully we'll see you both back here next year.
So that's going to do it here from Sky Bacon Stadium in Ozark, Missouri, as the Eagles fall to the Jackson Indians 2-1 in this contest. John Paul Sawyer will get the win, going a complete game, 4-hit, 1-run shutout. Sorry, not a shutout. 1 run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Jackson Gamble will take the loss, giving up one run in 6 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Eagles will get 4th place in the state, something they hadn't done since 1974, so while it seems a bit disappointing with the way they've been playing baseball lately, it definitely makes the program feel good, and hopefully my partner Aiden Hopkins will be back here in this spot, same exact spot a year from now, saying the Eagles are state champions. But for now, the Eagles will take 4th place, and as I sign off for the final time here, It's a pretty emotional moment. This is it for high school. I'm done with it forever, but I'm going to quote the great Vince Scully in his last broadcast. May God give you for every storm a rainbow, for every tear a smile, for every care a promise, and a blessing for each trial. For every problem life seems a faithful friend to share, for every sigh a sweet song, and an answer for each prayer. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. And for Eli Dean alongside Aiden Hopkins and Jordan Burns, I'll be signing off. Good night, everyone, from Ozark.